All right. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. We have decided to do a podcast, which we're going to do every week. Um, and we're just going to cover everything we can because we want to chat because we're both yappers. And
Yeah, yeah.
it's sort of a good thing to start yapping. If you're a yapper and you don't yap, it gets stuck in you and you don't know what to do with it. We don't have a name for the podcast yet, so it's just as it is, and we'll just generate one as it goes along. But yes, Vicky is my coach, and you've been coaching for how many years?
Oh my God, I'm very old now. So this is my 16th year in terms of being an actual coach.
Across not just bodybuilding though, numerous sports.
Over across numerous sports. Yeah. So predominantly my bag is performance nutrition. So anything that you can imagine that has a performance element based in sport, whether it be anything. I don't realistically, deal with chess players or anything like
Yes.
that because, well, I mean, you'll be surprised how many people that I do coach that does have a mental aspect in terms of their sport, not a physical aspect. But yeah, anything that you can imagine that's derived from sport, I will coach.
Fair enough. So everything.
So,
And yeah, that's probably why a lot of people don't haven't really heard of you until a few years ago. I think because you were doing a lot more other stuff. Still had bodybuilders, but it wasn't like you were a big name in the
correct.
scene. So when someone such as myself moved over, and everyone's like, "What the fuck?" So yeah,
Why are you listening to this small, tiny person?
yeah, we get a lot of that, don't you? It's just
Yeah, I
like
get a lot of that.
I'm
I
a
get a
woman
lot of
for a
that.
coach. Like,
Yeah, a woman who's a coach who's 5 foot nothing and weighs a grand total of about 56 kilos, which I was this morning, 56 kilos, which is an all new low weigh-in,
that is
even though I am in my reverse diet. So it's like, what?
yeah,
What the fuck?
yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people do have that question because I am small. I don't have a penis. I am not muscle bound or ridden or anything along those lines. But the thing is that I am
I mean,
old.
you're
I've
pretty wham. Like,
well, kind of wham. Yeah, kind of
yeah.
wham. But I am old. I've been in the industry for a very long time. I've got a lot of hands-on experience. I am also a qualified nurse. So I have a lot of medical background, including how to read bloods properly. I know that one of your questions that you got on your Instagram shizzle was how to read bloods and what to do about it after you know the answers. That is a topic unto itself and not something that we can cover in a half-hour podcast. So if you have bloods, send them to somebody like myself who knows how to fucking read them because it's more than just having a look at your testosterone levels.
I get a lot of people that don't want to pay for a consultation. They're always like, "You should look at my bloods." They're like, you can just look at them and give them a very quick, simple answer, but it's not one of those
Mm.
where it's like you need to go into depth about what they can do if they've got a problem to fix it. I mean, most people don't really have too many issues. It depends what you've been doing. Depends how
Yeah.
uh, depends how aggressive you've been in your approach in
Mm.
whatever you've been doing and how non-diligent you have been. But I still see plenty of people that just don't bother using health subs, which is interesting. But anyway, shall we get into some sort of topic, or what do you want to do?
Well, we talked about obviously entering into the post-contest prep phase for bodybuilders, enhanced or natural, and how to realistically deal with it. Because a lot of the seasons are coming to an end now. A lot of people have had their qualifications, gone off and done their finals, etc., etc., and are now looking into going into their growth phase immediately. Now, you are going to get some people who are going to pass over into a health phase, which I find is absolutely hilarious. Because they say, "Oh, I'm going into a health phase for like 6 weeks or something." Okay, so for the remainder of the time, is your coach not wanting you to be healthy?
Hmm.
So why are we calling it a health phase for 6 weeks? I find
Well,
that
I think a lot of
necessary.
people do the whole "oh, bodybuilding is not healthy." It's like, yes,
Yeah, of course it's not.
you are obviously using drugs. You can make
Hmm.
a normal life very unhealthy if you want to use drugs. That's just what it is. But I find a lot of people these days don't view bodybuilding in an athletic mindset. They view it in a everybody takes drugs, so I should also be looking to take as many drugs as I possibly can. What are the things I can take, and how do I potentially avoid the side effects that you can see, not the long-term
Mm.
potential effects of what these might do? And obviously, when it comes to bloods, because most people don't understand them, they just disregard them. So I know plenty of people that have been competing for many, many years, and they just never really get bloods done because they can't read them and they can't be asked. And they're like, "I know it's going to be bad anyway, so what's the point of looking?"
Yeah, it's almost like that innate, I don't want to have bloods taken because I'm afraid of what it's going to say. That's what it is, realistically.
Yeah.
So, but no, you're right. I mean, bodybuilding, the thing is right, there can be an argument in terms of bodybuilding, right? Being healthy and non-healthy. Of course, it's not going to be healthy if you're going to be slamming a fuck ton of pads into your body. We know this. But Bodybuilding can be exceptionally healthy as long as you actually treat yourself correctly. Because let's face it, you train, you do your cardio, so you've got good aerobic capacity, you've got good blood flow, as long as you don't have any kind of hemodynamic problems. Your heart is going to be healthy as long as you don't ply yourself with drugs and all the rest of it, because you are, of course, training and keeping that exercise mentality going. You do eat wholesome, clean foods, as long as you're not one of these macro counters who just want to, have Krispy Kremes and cookies.
Majority of
The
people.
majority of the people, but it can be classed as a very, very healthy sport until you abuse it. It's when it comes to the abuse, and that's when it starts to hit that red line. You can make bodybuilding healthier, but it isn't a healthy sport. Now, when you get into contest prep and then you start to go into a prep phase, going into stage and stuff, of course, it's unhealthy. You are basically having a controlled starvation diet. That's all you're doing. So, of course, it's going to be unhealthy. Everything's going to get down regulated. We understand this. Now, what we were going to go on to is the post-contest phase, which can be the unhealthiest aspect of competition prep because people do not know how to handle it. What does 99% of the people use CG?
Oh, well,
They,
I mean,
well,
let's take the example of the PCA show. Was it last weekend?
last weekend.
There were three cookie stalls there. They all sell these giant fucking cookies that are like 1,000 calories each. They're all sold out.
Yeah,
And
every single one of them sold out.
I can appreciate that people have done a long diet and they're very hungry and they want to get back to some normality. Funnily enough, you're in a position which is you've just got on stage, peeled or hopefully peeled out of your brain. You are not in a position of normality at all, and it's going to take you a long time to return there. Oh, I'm getting a text from my mother. Let's try and not record that. Um, but yeah, it's going to take a long, long time for you to actually return there. You're not going to think that by having a week's worth of food in the space of a day, that you're somehow going to feel better. You might feel better while you're eating it. As soon as you stop eating it and your food start to be digested, you're going to feel fucking terrible. So it is that sort of thing of people sort of thinking, oh well, I'm done, so I'll get back to normality and I'll be fine. You could look fat in a week if you wanted to, but I think probably a good example is well, not to say that like, I don't want to be rude about him at all, but like Josh Connolly, he's a really young, good classic guy, and he just finished his post show, and now he's got edema, and like obviously he admitted himself like eating shitloads of food post show, and if you're somebody that has never done a contest prep before, he'd obviously did a first timer show and then went on to win a PCA Pro card, which is incredibly impressive. But if you've never done a prep before, the feeling of hunger post show is so much harder to handle than it is leading into a show because your mentality instantly shifts to I'll get a big broth, which is what too many people do, and they don't go, hang on a minute, I need to be on a diet, I need to slowly reverse out of this position to get into a position where I can actually exist normally rather than having my leptin, my ghrelin basically control my life.
And the problem is with having this mentality of it's almost like an all or nothing approach, right? So you do your show, you give your coach a high five or a hug or whatever, and the coach just says, right, you're gonna have a week off, just have a week off, don't do any gym training, go and eat what you want, blah blah blah. Those are the famous last words. We cannot do that. You cannot have a week off. Okay, there is no need for you to have a week off training. Yes, you have gone through a very, very hard, long contest prep. Sometimes they can be 16, 20, 24 weeks, depending on whether you're going to be natural or whether you're going to be assisted, how many times you're going to be having diet breaks, etc., etc. But having a couple of days off is more than enough in order to actually recover your body before you go back training. After that, go and do some cardio. Make sure that you do keep on moving in those couple of days off as well. Don't just be a sloth and turn into a potato on the couch. It is not going to help. Get back into the gym. In terms of your food, I will always give every single one of my clients, they will have a meal off plan. They can have what they want on the evening of their show. They are allowed to do that. And it is a no holds barred. However, they are going to do it with other people. They are not going to do it on their own in their house, by phoning up Mr. Uber driver and just kind of saying, deliver me everything that you can. Because that's dangerous. And I will always speak to their loved ones as well and say, just watch them, okay? Because if they start to do all of this piling, right hand, left hand, etc., you need to tell them to stop because they will not know how to stop. So you have a controlled meal off plan. The very next morning, have a breakfast, have a breakfast with what you want. You want a full English breakfast? Great, go and fucking enjoy one. But then meals 2, 3, and 4, have back on your diet plan that you had. You know exactly what you have been eating all the way through prep. So have a nice breakfast, meals 2 until meals 4, go and have your prep meals. Go and have that, allow that to sit nicely into your digestion, and then go and have another dinner off plan the day after. After that, you should be on plan. You should be able to have a reverse plan in place, ready to go up and start making that progress, because otherwise your digestion is going to go all over the place. Your digestion and your gut flora and your gut microbiome is already going to be in the fucking bin because of the amount of food that you have been restricting all the way through a contest prep. Not only by that, but the majority of people that I have seen have literally just been eating chicken, and if they are lucky, a rice cake.
100
You
grams
know?
of veg.
Yeah, 100 grams of
Not
eggs, chicken and
specifying what it
beans.
is. 100 grams of veg. Most
100
voluminous
grams of
thing you can
veg.
find every single meal. 100 grams of lettuce. All make sound.
Either lettuce or broccoli. Yeah,
Maybe
lettuce or yeah. I've
not
seen
good for
broccoli
spinach. Like, I
loads.
just prefer it for whatever.
Yeah, I know, broccoli or cauliflower rice. That's another funny one
Ah,
that I've
yeah.
seen.
Volume. It's all about that. It's like oh, what are people doing? They're putting baking powder or baking soda, not baking soda, surely,
Same thing.
in cream of rice to
Yeah,
volume.
to volumize it.
You just like, well, you just put 500 grams of bullshit into cream of rice. So you're thinking your stomach's gonna like that. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Just put more water in it.
even
Put
so,
more water in
like,
it.
do you want to fucking be drink? Like, I've seen people drinking their fucking cream of rice. Like,
Yeah, but
oh,
you see, what is the point in that? You want to choose something. A big diet hack, choose crunchy foods, right? That's a big diet hack because if you
spicy,
have mashed, huh?
spicy food. You can't
Oh,
eat
or
it.
spicy food.
You can't eat that.
But no, big diet hack. If you want to have these kind of things, use a crunchy food because psychologically, if you're crunching something, you actually feel the hunger kind of subside as opposed to having something that's like mashy. So,
Mm.
like your cream rice that's really sloppy, for example, if you were to have like chunky oats or oats with chopped up apple in it or something along those lines, you've got that crunch.
Sounds like
You
your
know what I mean?
horse diet there. Oats and apple.
Well, yeah, I know.
Mm.
Carrots. Nice.
Raw. To
But
be fair,
these are some of the hacks that I've seen people. I mean, I've seen loads of fucking hacks. Bloody courgette dipped in fucking sweetener. What is that? Courgette dipped in
just eat a
stevia.
courgette. What's wrong with
Yeah,
courgette? Or a
because it's
cucumber?
not sweet. It's not sweet. Or cucumber dipped in sweetener. What on earth, man? What on
I,
earth? But
I think
anyway,
it is hard, to be fair. Like, especially if you're somebody who is just transitioning into bodybuilding as a, like, just doing a first or even a second season. And I think what a lot of people end up doing is they do their first season and they go, "Oh, I've won my first timer show. That means the next show I'll be doing, I'll be winning the overall at the PCA show." And they might not try and say that, but in their head, they might be like, "That's the pressure I'm putting on myself."
mm,
And I think that it pushes people, one, to take more drugs, and then two, it also pushes people to be stricter and harder on themselves. And in the back end of things, it leads to, if the result doesn't happen that you want or you feel was justified, it can result in some serious binging or just self-loathing, which results in binging. But whatever, it's one of those where I think the mentality of bodybuilding has become this, like, instead of looking at it from a sporting perspective and going, right, we didn't do what we needed to do there, let's look to improvements, because it's so wrapped up with emotion around food, which quite a lot of people get into bodybuilding with disordered eating or eating disorders. Um, when it comes to not doing well in that sporting situation, they relate it straight back to food. And it
mm.
becomes this: I'm starving myself to get on stage. It's like you've got to get peeled. Like, it's part of the sport. Like, it is hard. It's not easy. It'd be the same way as being like a basketball player. Be like, why have I got to run fucking 20 sprints of the court? I'm trying to play basketball. So I don't want to do that. It's like, well, you've got to do this thing to compete well and improve. So, like, you've got to correlate it as a sporting thing and not be like, I just want a cookie.
Just fuck the cookie.
Yeah.
It's true. But again, when it comes to psychology, we were talking about this before, right? So when you come into your reverse, I don't think that you should rebound. I've only actually ever in my entire coaching career, I've used rebounds 3 times. And one of them actually was recently. I say this, never advise a rebound, but
Yeah.
this particular rebound was warranted. This rebound was warranted, and it's actually worked absolutely perfectly. We're a week post show. We have rebounded, basically increased hit the caloric intake by about 25%. But with that, we did also give a bump in terms of their PED usage at the same time. So it is a specific super physiological rebound that we are using, also known as a slingshot method. So that's what I'm using with this particular individual.
Well,
We are,
I know who this is. This is Lee, isn't
yes,
it?
of course you do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he's barely used anything or prep.
Exactly.
He's not.
And that is the only reason as to why we are using this rebound, because I
Yeah,
have been very conservative in his prep. I'm very conservative with PEDs anyway. I will only use the minimal effective dose that we do need, and use little tiny sprinkles as and when we need them. So this rebound with everything else that we're putting in place, and plus I know his mentality is absolutely 100% positive with everything. He has got everything fucking nailed. Now, if he was a little bit floppy and a little bit flimsy and all the rest of it and watery and a flake all the way through prep, no fucking way would I be doing a rebound with him. It would just be like, nah, suck it up. You're going to be doing a reverse and you're going to be doing it properly. But this was the right way that we had to do it for him. Now, we're only going to be running a rebound for about 3 weeks. And then after that, we will pull everything back down and then he will go into a steady and slow reverse state. I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm now in a reverse. So what I was doing in terms of my prep, over a 10-week prep, I lost just shy of 8 kilos, which for my body fat percentage or my body weight percentage was actually quite a lot. Went to Vegas, had an amazing time in Vegas, had 7 days completely off plan, walked about 30 miles every single day, which was a lot of walking. Ended up coming back 1.5 kilos lighter. And I weighed in this morning after I had started my reverse and after I had a massive barbecue meal with my family yesterday. I did have a nice meal yesterday. And I've lost another kilo. So I am, it just means that my metabolism is in a really, really good position at this moment in time because of the way that I prepped. Now, the way that I prepped, I used a rotational basis. So I used 6 low days with cardio and then did 2 high days with no cardio. So all I've done for my reverse now is put my cardio in on my rest days. I'll do 10 minutes of stairs post-workout because that's what I do. And it's better to obviously help with leg hemodynamics and stuff like that, which is the only reason why I do it.
And the inflammation in your leg workout. Yeah.
Exactly. And then my high days that I was using are now my training days. My low days, add another 200 calories onto that, is now my rest days. And that's where I am as my physiological reverse. Now, for me, and what I'm doing as well is I'm having 2 off-plan meals a week, just to actually give me that big caloric bump, one of which was yesterday. And I went to Hickory's and it was wonderful. It was
Which
very
one's the
nice.
Chester one? Which one did you go to?
No, I went to the one in Crewe.
I was going to say, it's a long way, guys.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to go all that way for a bloody steak, but I did have a very nice one, and I would suggest anybody who goes to Hickory's get the cornbread. It's absolutely amazing. It's very good. But this is how I'm doing reverses. So when you look into a reverse, we've obviously discussed it in terms of that side of things. But all of the food that I was eating leading into my diet is all of the food that I'm eating now. I'm just eating more of it. That's all I'm doing. I'm not having stupid meals. I'm not having any kind of changes in terms of our meals. I'm not doing macro tracking where I'm going to be having this add, that adds this takeaway, and all the rest of it, because I hate fucking macro Tetris planning and that kind of stuff. If you are coming out of a contest prep, and 99% of you, I can guarantee you, are going to be micronutrient deficient. A micronutrient rich diet is going to be better for you than a calorically rich diet. You can eat as many calories in the fucking world if you want to, but if you're not going to have a good micronutrient balanced diet, then all it's going to do is ply you with inflammation, drive edema, just like you were talking about with your mate. Now, obviously, there are different components that were driving his edema at the same time, but you are just going to drive inflammation. Your gut microbiome is going to basically tell you to piss off because it does not want all of that shit, all of the ultra processed foods. And as well, I know people are going to call me fucking chicken soup for this, right? But have a look at the quality of your food. If you are not buying high quality chicken, beef, mincemeat and all the rest of it and that kind of stuff, you are going to know the difference, because you realistically have got to look at what your food is eating before you eat it. What kind of water do you drink, Alex?
Tap water.
Stupid boy. You can edit that out, sorry. But no, I knew that you were going to say that because again, everybody drinks tap water, but do you put it through a Brita filter?
No,
Put it through a Brita filter.
I
If
don't want to
you
buy one.
go and buy one, it's £8. You can get the Tesco's own one. It doesn't have to be Brita. You can go and get one from Tesco's, all right? If you think about the shit that is in tap water and you had it tested, I'll send you a paper on it so you can actually have a read of it.
Does it turn the
And
frog gay?
it's absolutely horrendous, right? If you drink filtered water, you are going to be doing your gut way more benefits than just actually going, do you know what? I'm just going to put my glass underneath a tap because convenience.
Just drink this
You
all
know,
day.
you can drink that all day, that's fine. But do your filtered water. Really take advantage of the fact that you have got to look after your insides. There was a study linked, and this is the one that I'm going to send to you, in terms of people who have been drinking tap water across the UK and also across the United States, all states across the United States. And we have had more percentages increases of thyroid downregulation from drinking tap water as it was in comparison to 10 years ago. So in 10 years, the shit that we have now been drinking in our tap water has started to affect our thyroid health.
How can they correlate that? Is it surely you'd have to go food as well rather than just
Well,
water?
it's environmental, isn't it? So that's what they're doing. It's the environmental aspects of things.
Yes. Some people might
Yes.
have try and argue pesticides on crops, but most
You can
farmers
argue absolutely
random
everything.
places.
Honestly, you can argue absolutely everything by it. But the interesting one was the fact in terms of tap water. I have a client, she has some dysregulated thyroid issues. And one of the biggest things that we did was remove BPA plastics from her kitchen. Anything that she used that was like Tupperware, even things like, the coffee pods that you get, the Nespresso pods and stuff like that. Obviously, it comes through plastic. I'm like, get fucking rid of it. Do not use plastic anymore. And you know what? Her thyroid health improved significantly with distinction within a 4-week period to the
No.
point where realistically it was regulated. So these are some of the things that people can be thinking about. Now, I'm not saying that all plastics are going to affect every single person. This was a very specific case, but we knew that that was the one thing that was, causing that aspect. And this is what people are not thinking about in these days. They're just like, oh, well, I'll eat big because I want to get big, bruv. I'll take a load of drugs because I want to get big, bruv. And this is convenient, so I'll just fucking eat this, bruv. And plying down McDonald's and Five Guys and all the rest of it, all you're going to do is blow with inflammation and cause a lot more distress to your own body when you're growing. But yeah, that was a big, long kind of thing in terms of saying, look after your gut health. The other thing that you want to be considering just coming out of stage is your immunity. How many people have you seen the minute
Ill
they
straight
walk
away.
ill straight away, right?
Oh, I've got the flu post show. He's like, yeah, because you're fucked.
Exactly, right?
You just ate like fucking 3 days worth of shite and your body's got absolutely no vitamins in it. And you just asked it to fucking digest all that shit. And it's like, yeah, got to do this. Can't look after me right now. And then
Yeah.
it's when people start going out to raves. Like, so we've just chucked a shitload of orals in your stomach. And now we're going to deplete all your serotonin.
Come on. But of course, people are getting ill. And why are they getting ill? Because your immune system is literally through the fucking floor. So we want to be boosting your immunity system. So you're going to have your couple of meals. You're going to be back on a plan. If your coach has not done you a plan already as a reverse, then you need to have that plan set out. You need it. Yeah, it's as simple as that. You need that reverse plan in order to keep your mentality on track. You've been relying on this coach for the past 20 weeks to tell you what to eat, when to eat it, when to train, how much cardio to do. Why is it now all of a sudden when you stop competing, there is a weak disparity where you don't have a plan?
Because they've got 5 people next weekend that they're putting into a show and they don't have time to do your post show. Or if they do,
I'm sorry, you employ that coach. They work for you.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, with a lot of people that are first timers, a lot of them don't know that because they just have a week off. Because you have to just have a week off. A lot of people don't know that you need to have a strategy for the immediately the other side of a show. They aren't aware of it, so they just go with it and they think this is fine. So
But then what happens? They walk downstairs in the kitchen the next morning, bloated like a huge fucking mess because they've just been piling in some food, and then they go, "What the fuck do I do? I'm in no
yeah,
man's
but the
land."
thing is, though, a lot of people's coaches also do that, so they don't know different. So they go, "Oh, it's
Yeah.
part of it, bro. Are your ankles the size of your feet yet?"
Horrendous.
It's
I
that
would die if one of my clients said that to me and they said that they had ankle edema or anything like that. I would actually die. I'd be like, Jesus Christ, I have not done my job if this is what you have done.
Mm.
So you need a plan in place. Now, so that's obviously going to be the first point call. You're going to have a reverse plan. You're going to do some steps, going to get some cardio done, going to have like a nice kind of like re-entry into your thing. And then the other aspect of things is obviously getting your immunity up. So your immunity. Alex, I'm going to do a mentoring question with you now.
Oh, good.
Oh, good. For those of you who don't know, I mentor Alex as well, so I test him on these kind of things.
Ask me a question, a bit like, what's the answer? I'm like, it'll be like this rogue question. I'll just be like, where's my thesaurus
Where's my thesaurus?
What is that half the words? Yeah.
What would you advise in terms of a protocol in terms of boosting immunity post prep using supplementation? Because we already know that we're going to be designing a fantastic micronutrient-based plan, but what about supplementation?
It depends what they've already been taking. If people have been absolutely slamming the shit out of their vitamin D and C, then usually you're all right. You can up it, but so say for instance for a peaking protocol, you might have been slamming the absolute fuck out of vitamin C, so be all right. D3 K2 that should already be in there regardless. You can up it, but like realistically, above 10,000 IU of D3 a day, you're really going to do much more. It's going to, yeah, you already want this stuff in place. It's not a case of, and now we add the vitamins back in. So yeah, that's going to be important. Obviously, all of your whatever health subs you need to take in terms of like whatever you're going to have from your support max and all that sort of stuff, that's going to be organ support. But if we're just talking natural, so D3, vitamin C, you definitely want your omegas in there to bring down any inflammation as well. Omega 362, not 2, 369. And then I'm sure well, it depends as well. Obviously, you need to regulate the thyroid, so we're going to need some selenium in there.
Correct, yeah.
Additionally, potentially might need some iodine to do the same thing. Zinc is going to be very useful in restoring some sexual reproduction organs, not organs.
What else is zinc important for?
Oh, I see. I only know it as being useful for restarting sort of LH and FSH or helping to do so.
Yeah, it is very much so. Now, literally 30 milligrams of zinc that you can actually have zinc piconate as well. Zinc piconate is the important one. That is there in order to aid your immunity for your gut health. 60% of your gut lining, as in like the actual gut lining of your intestinal wall, is made up of zinc. And that is the reason why we implement zinc as well. In order to increase immunity at the same point, we use 30 milligrams of zinc piconate alongside 3 milligrams of copper, because zinc is to copper as iron is to...
I always forget this.
Magnesium. So that's what we're going to do. Selenium is there at 200 micrograms in order to, again, improve your immunity as well as protect your thyroid. Vitamin D with K2. You do not take vitamin D without K2 because it's just not going to get absorbed or used efficiently. Quercetin is actually a very, very good one in terms of immunity health. So quercetin can be used at the same point, as well as NAC.
Yes.
It is a very, very potent supplement that I think that everybody should be using. 2,000 milligrams a day is actually going to be quite sufficient. 1,000 milligrams in the morning and 1,000 milligrams at night. You use that. You could actually use niacin as well. Niacin is actually going to be very good. Not the one that gives you that complete flush that you have in the supplement needs stack that blows you back in the house. We're talking about 1,500 milligrams in terms of a niacin dose, which is again going to improve immunity systemically. So if you take that stack post show, you will more than likely, and you can shoot me in the DMs if you wanted to, but I promise you, if you do that stack, you are going to keep away all of the coughs and the colds and the sniffles that we will have as the post-contest flu, which you do get. But you can also use that stack just in the winter months, when it starts to get colder and stuff, just to give yourself that little bit of a boost of immunity.
Yeah. Well, I think that most people don't. I mean, especially with some of the diets you see that come when people come to us and go, I'm on a contest prep, and you're looking at a diet and you're like, it's rice cakes and whey and then a little bit of vegetables. And even so, like usually, because rice cakes and whey are sweet, they're just craving sweet. So they ask the coach if they can just have that, and they end up having it for 5 meals a day.
I know, yeah, it's terrible, isn't it?
You just like, are you expecting to be able to have a shit? Like,
yeah, bowel health. My God, bowel health. Now, when we got into your IFBB Pro prep, that last prep that we were going to be doing, how was your bowel health? What were your poops like throughout your particular contest prep?
Fine.
Exactly. You pooped every single day. There was no issues with that. Yes,
Oh,
and which multiple times a day, which is great. Now, I've got people who are coming to me who literally have gastroparesis. Now, gastroparesis means paralysis of the bowel. It just does not move. Okay, so they don't end up having a shit for like days at a time, sometimes even weeks at a time. And their coaches are just saying to them, yeah, it's part of the process. Less food in means less food out. Okay, I can understand that, but there still must be some coming out because
mm,
otherwise, where is it going to go? Where is
yeah.
it going to go? Yeah, it's like a dog shitting in the garden. Yeah, what happens to it? It starts to degrade, it starts to ferment, it starts to go dry, and then it goes white. All right, but it's still there. Now, what do you think that happens in your gut if your poop is not coming out?
It's a
It's
bit of
exactly
water
the same thing.
session.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. It starts to ferment. Now, if you have fermentation going on into your gut, this is where you start building up biofilms and start to have things like intestinal bacterial overgrowth, also known as SIBO. And then what's the coach going to do? It's okay, throw in some kimchi. Let's go and have some kefir because people have started to see the kimchi and the sauerkraut coming on board. Yes, thank you. I know that I obviously brought this on board. Now everybody's on the kimchi fucking rain. But then they see their clients and they're having bloated stomachs and all the rest of it. Why? Because kimchi, sauerkraut, and kefir are fermented foods.
To make them more
So
fermented.
they're already backed up and their shit is fermenting in their bowel. And now all they're doing is putting more fermentation on top of more fermentation. Stop it. Stop it,
May
people.
as well drink a beer at that point.
Well, basically, yeah. So we don't want to do that. If you are backed up, the one thing that you want to do is get some prokinetics in. Which we'll go through on a different podcast in terms of optimizing bowel health and shit. And shit. Pardon the pun. I do apologize. But one of the biggest things that you can do is use the Titan stack, the Titan morning stack, which is basically going to be lemon juice, aloe vera juice, amazing, apple cider vinegar, glutamine. The other percentage of your gut lining is made up of glutamine, so you should be getting glutamine in every single day. And for gut health, it only works on a fasted stomach. So having an intra workout ain't going to do shit. So have those three. And then the other thing that you can do in order to optimize your gut health is just have about 120 mils of organic beef bone broth, which people might think, oh my God, that tastes disgusting. But actually, it's really nice. It tastes like OXO. No, not OXO. What am I about?
You just said people think it's gross. No, it's not. Shut up.
Yeah, shut up. It's not gross. Just fucking eat it. But if you have those, honestly, your bowel health will be beautifully clean. So have the Titan Morning Stack. That will work beautifully for yourself. And if you obviously have any other bowel issues, then we have to sort those out on an individual basis.
Should we talk a bit about my prep at the minute? Because I haven't really got that far into it.
Yeah, might as well. Why the fuck not? So let's talk about your prep.
Yeah. Well, this is the funny thing because obviously we're talking about people using lots of gear and
Yeah.
people slamming lots of food. And obviously my off season this time around got up to what, 700 grams of carb? About that.
About 700 grams of carbs. Yeah,
Yeah.
just over 4,000 calories.
Not many. I see plenty
No,
of
not.
guys who've been up to six, but they are pushing everything under the sun. I mean, insulin included. And these are classic guys. I mean, they can do what they want. They are allowed. I'm not here to be like, don't do that. That's naughty. But it's one of those of, do you actually need to do all this? I talk about this with a few guys who also run sort of a low dose approach. And I've found more than ever people thinking I'm just lying about what I take. Because they're like, you can't do that. They're like 100 milligrams a test. You just, that's nothing. It's like, well, yeah, it isn't much. And from my blood work, that puts me in like mid 20s for testosterone levels. So it's not crazy. But when we start
Mhm.
adding in prima bowling, that's when it bumps a bit higher. And I can push that to what we sort of leveled out at 600 was sort of like my max in terms of how much I can use. So when I see guys
Yes.
who are able to obviously handle more testosterone, great for you guys, not for me. That's great. But when they start pushing like gram, 2 grams a gear, 3 grams a gear, and they don't weigh that much. Like these guys are maybe sub 100 kilos when they're peeled. What the fuck is the benefit of doing that? And we have plenty of coaches these days that will openly say you've got to push gear. And like, granted, you might have to use a bit more gear than you thought in order to gain excessive levels of size. Yeah, that's the whole name of the game. But when guys are cruising on the
Yeah.
best part of a gram of gear or more, that's not a cruise. You're just on gear your whole life. So I think there's going to
Yeah.
be something to be said in the future of when guys start having like quite severe problems from running, everything under the sun, and people using 10 IU of growth a day forever. I think we're going to have some serious problems, and it's not really being discussed yet because that's the coaching selling point at the minute. It's never nutrition, it's never training, it's the drug use,
Mm. Yeah, it
which
is the drug use. And it's unfortunately in this day and age it is very, very scary because like I said, just in terms of, earlier on in the podcast, the environment that we are living in at the moment, it's not just about the pesticides, the shit that's in our water, the diseases, the viruses that we've got obviously surrounding us, which is different to what it was 10 years ago. It is, you can't argue that. We are suffering with a lot more from environmental issues at this point. Everywhere in the world, it's not just here. The cleanest place and the most cleanliest place is actually Australia because they shut off their entire fucking country. So they don't have anything that comes in. And it is one of the most healthiest places in the world to live. But we are suffering from a lot in terms of environmental toxins. But once you start adding in different ped usages and you don't start looking after your nutrition, you don't start looking after your training, this is when things start to go awry. And whenever somebody comes to me for coaching, it was the same with you, Alex. You were obviously running huge ped stack, and one that you were not responding to very well.
It would not have been considered massive. Obviously, with all the additional orals, which people always forget about,
Mm,
but
yeah.
it was nearing on 2 grams of gear. This is the norm. That's a normal
Yeah.
stack, and people are going. If you're
Oh,
like,
I know it's the norm.
it's
I
if
know
you
it's
want
the
to turn
norm.
pro, you're using all this shit, and you have to do it because it's what you do, and there's no application
Yeah,
to it.
absolutely. No,
It's like
and this is the thing. That's where people are getting it wrong. Exactly what you just said there, that's where people are getting it wrong. There is no application to it. It is a blanket approach, and this is where people do not understand how to actually apply the specific drug to the specific person at the right time. I had a consultation with somebody. He's 6'5". He's a big guy. He's struggling to eat his food. His food is only at like 2,400 calories, and he's struggling to get that down because he's having a lot of gut problems. Dude, I eat more than that on my training day now, right? But he has cycled through so many different drugs, and every single time he's got way high estrogen, but fuck all testosterone. Literally fuck all testosterone. So when I looked at his bloods, I was like, mate, this is completely and utterly easily understood. You cannot handle testosterone. And he said, yeah, but I've tried enanthate, I've tried cypionate, I've tried propionate. I was like, you cannot dismantle it. It is as simple as that. You cannot use this as your basal androgen. You can't because you cannot dismantle it. All you're doing is aromatizing, and then you're trying to crash your estrogen, which is the reason why you feel like shit because you're consistently running an AI alongside it for the sake of it. You're looking at your bloods, you're going, I don't have enough testosterone, so I'm just going to increase the amount of testosterone, can't dismantle it, fuck ton of estrogen, throw a load of AIs in, crash your estrogen again, and then you feel like shit. And that's exactly what's happening. Now, it's the application of understanding what these drugs do and what they do to your blood specifically. Now, we know you cannot handle a lot of gear. You just can't do it. One, you feel like shit. Two, you look like shit. Three, you perform like shit. So we know that you cannot handle a lot of gear. Your top whack is
translates to
about
is a pussy apparently as well. So
yeah, you're a pussy, complete pussy. But we know that your top whack is 800 milligrams. You perform well, you recover well, you grow fantastically well. But we sorted out your food, we sorted out your meal timing, we sorted out your training. Those were the baseline fundamentals that we actually did, first of all, before we even started looking at drugs. Because again, mentally wise, you were not ready to go back on gear when we first started you off. And that is, again, another thing that people aren't taking into consideration. You came off that drug stack of nearly 2 grams where you weren't responding well. You were just a big, blown, watery, horrible mess. We had to drag all of that off you. I designed your training plan to make you actually look like a classic competitor and not a fridge, because that is what you looked like. And then all of a sudden, oh, look, you look fucking incredible and you feel incredible. But for a long time, we had to sort out your mental health and your mentality towards bodybuilding before we even thought about, putting you back onto a cycle again, which again, these young guys don't even think about. They just think, oh, I'm just going to run this, I'm going to run that, I'm going to run the other. And when you run all of these type of things, especially if you're going to be running tren as a first timer, fucking idiots.
yeah, Super
And you
Bowl all that
crash
shit.
Oh, everything that you can imagine as a first timer, and then all of a sudden you've got, dysfunctional kidneys, your liver's fucked, your heart is hypertrophied, your brain barrier is obviously been crossed over that much that your dopamine is so suppressed you're ready to kill yourself, but it's okay, I'm going to carry on with the drugs. Okay, well, come back to me when you've got Parkinson's in 20 years, because basically that is what is going to happen. And
When
this
you
is what
say shit like that, though, people think you're being hyperbolic, and you're not. Like,
No, I'm
this is
not.
what
And
happens.
I'm really not.
Yeah.
You suppress dopamine for so long, this is what is going to happen. Suppressed dopamine causes Alzheimer's and it causes Parkinson's. Now, but the thing is that people don't care about what's going to happen in 20 years' time. They care about the here and the now, or they think, oh, yeah, but it's not going to happen to me.
Well, and the thing
Well,
is,
it
they,
does.
they think it's like a warrior's death. They think it's like, oh, I'll just die. It's like, no, mate, you're going to be a vegetable for the
Exactly.
remaining years, the remaining shitty, horrible years of your life. You'd be lucky to have a heart attack and just keel over and die. You probably have a heart attack and live through it, and then they'll be like, you can't do this anymore, and you'll be like, what the fuck do I do in my life?
Exactly. And it happens. And I'm seeing lots and lots and lots of IFBB pros and big well-known names, and they're coming away from bodybuilding because now it's just like, oh, actually, I don't want to push drugs anymore because I'm starting to recognize that actually I'm not actually very well.
I feel like
So I've got to get myself
the
healthy,
first
you
step
know.
on the run is the hair transplant.
Well, that happens a
I
lot.
know
No,
plenty of
it's the
guys who've had a
gyno
hair
first.
transplant. Doesn't mean they're going to die, but like when they're willing to just sacrifice, first it's they're sacrificing the hair, and they're like, whatever, I don't care, it's just my hair. And then it becomes everything else. It just leads in, and you're there like you're just going to keep going up the ladder. Until there's nothing, there's no more steps, and then you
Yeah,
fall off it.
exactly.
Yeah,
Now, don't get me wrong, your top whack is 800 milligrams. We know that 800 milligrams is going to be your top whack, and we can only run that for a certain amount of time period before you start to say, yeah, do you know what, Vicky, I'm actually starting to feel this shit now.
this is why
So
I'm
then we
not
start,
taking any drugs yet as well. I'm 5 weeks into prep.
yeah, 5 weeks into prep, we're not actually using anything at this moment in time because there's no need. You've got a lot of food, we've got a lot of expenditure, we've got loads and loads of tools to handle in our pocket in order to do that one. So we're going to bring you down nicely, safely. And of course you're going to make your weight cut, which a lot of people doubted that I was going to be able to do with you for your pro debut or your pro card.
To be fair, it's 7 kilos heavier now.
Yes, it is, but I'm not worried. We never get worried. So that's going to be the case, but that's you. I have other clients who we do have to push, a gram and a bit,
Oh yeah,
and
most
that kind
people
of
can
thing.
handle it. I'm just a
Of
pussy,
course,
so
yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, but this is
Yeah.
what I'm saying in terms of your drugs. It cannot be a blanket approach. Your drug stack, I always say this because I don't know why people don't understand it. Your drug stack should be as unique to you as your fingerprint. Same as your nutritional intake. It's great to say implement ginger, implement garlic, use this, use that in order to bring down inflammation. Well, sometimes garlic doesn't sit well with people. So you can't use fucking garlic.
Don't
Sometimes you
like it. It
use
makes me fart like hell.
exactly. So you know
Yeah.
that you can't use it. Sometimes ginger gives people heartburn and acid reflux because their acid is too high in their body or that it's too low. Some people can handle betaines, other people can't. Supplements and food and drugs, they should all be as unique to you as your fingerprint. So these blanket approaches of just eating chicken and rice, that's my doorbell. Chicken and rice or fucking cereal post-workout, blah, blah, blah. So, but all of these things people are not taking into consideration, and it's just like, okay, this is the approach that we're going to use. You're going to do a push-pull off, legs off, repeat. And that's all you're gonna do. Maybe throw some arms in there, maybe throw some shoulders in there, just because of that. But it's not a one size fits all. Do you know, I've written 3 training programs today, and not one of them is the same. Everybody has a different training split.
The reason why people want someone to just go, this is what you do, is because it's really hard to research all this stuff. Like it takes a long time, takes a lot of experience. And what they want to do is they want the easy route to it, which is you pay someone to tell you exactly what to do, exactly what to take, exactly what to eat, and how to train.
Mm.
Sadly, training is a skill and you do have to learn it. Realizing what you can eat is obviously something which you've got to be able to learn over time, and it's going to take a lot of education to start to understand nutrition and how any of that functions. And then drugs on top, people just think that a drug does X thing and it will result in more muscles. They don't consider everything else that can occur when you use a drug and then in combination with others. They don't consider the actual side effects, not even them. People think side effects is just acne and gyno. They don't think
Yes.
about gut dysfunction, and they don't
Mm.
think about mood or how. I
Mm.
know plenty of guys that have used up to a gram and they go, yeah, I started to feel real foggy. I think my E2 was low. It was like, mate, you were running 700 milligrams of fucking test. No.
It's not about that either. It's yes, the mood, yes, the gyno, yes, the hair loss, yes, the acne. What about how your winky works? What about
Oh, it doesn't
impotence?
matter.
Or
Doesn't matter. I'm on prep. No sex for three
yeah,
months.
yeah, yeah. No sex for months, can't get everything, 6 weeks into prep, can't get an erection. What? I'm
Uh,
sorry, pardon.
Well,
This is
I see on
something that
people
you
do
do.
Q&A's and it's like, oh, how's the sex drive? And they're like, what sex drive? I have been absolutely like the last prep. Absolutely fine, mate. Fucking pro
Mm,
card, all good, still worked.
exactly.
I was the
Ham
most
shack
peeled
three
I've
times a
ever
day,
been.
perfect.
I was the most peeled I've ever been, and that was all fine.
But these are
Also,
questions
no
that
diet
coaches
plan,
aren't.
no
But also
diet.
these
Like,
are questions that coaches aren't asking. They're not asking, I don't give a shit, right? I'm going to ask all of my guys and girls, are you still getting an erect? Well, not girls, but all of my guys, are you still,
where's your
whoops.
lady bonus at?
But, all of my guys, are you still waking up with morning wood? Are you still managing to perform? Are you still having a climax? When you do climax, is it like, yes, I fucking had an orgasm? Or is it just like, meh? Because that also makes a big difference.
That's very
It really
dependent
does.
upon who you're looking at, to be fair.
Well, this is true. This is true. But it is something that you do need to take into account. It's not as easy about these things. So you do have to take all of these things. And yes, it does take a long time. But this is what I'm saying. I've been in the industry for a very long time. My medical background, I've been a nurse since I was 21 years old. And I've been reading bloods every single fucking day since that time period and taking bloods. So it is something that you do need to really consider before you start putting shit into your body. You need to look after your food, your training, your expenditure, your sleep. Sleep is like the fundamental. Don't get that en route and then you're fucked anyway. And then you can start looking at PEDs and stuff. So one of the questions that you had was when is the best time to start drugs in between a show?
Yeah, when you've
Don't.
like, just done a natural show and then you're like, I should start drugs now immediately.
Yeah,
But
don't.
some coaches are like, now's the perfect time to put drugs in immediately after you've done a show. No, it's fucking not.
No, your body's fucked. It ain't going to respond well to that one. Recover a little bit first, get your
Well, you're
training
the
back on.
most insulin sensitive you can be, yeah, and the rest of you is ruined. It's not just
Yeah,
about insulin
absolutely. Yeah.
sensitivity.
But
Like,
that's
yay.
that's what people think. They just think it's about insulin sensitivity. It's not. It really, really is not. What happens if you are slim? You are great in terms of your strength, your performance, your recovery, blah blah blah. But you're still waking up with high blood glucose levels. You're still waking up with low body temperature and low pulse rate. Realistically, those are and that low body temperature and low pulse rate is consistent all the way through the day. Those aren't normal, and that's not insulin sensitivity. That's down regulation of your HPTA axis.
Yeah, your thyroid's
Yeah. So again, these are all the things that we can get into. But I know that we've been talking for an hour, so we do have to kind of wrap this up because people ain't going to carry on listening for like an hour.
I bet you they will.
I probably will. But if you have enjoyed the very first podcast, we're going to open it up. Think about a name for the Big Kent and the Tiny Titan podcast. We were just going to come up with, the Titan Coaching podcast, but
Not funny.
it's not funny. So we will come up with something, but you guys put suggestions across. We will open up the DMs as per the usual. And then, yeah, see you on the next episode, I suppose.
Yeah. All right. Hope it's been informative and we've ranted and yapped enough. All right.
Indeed.
See you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.